Hey guys, welcome to the second video of the course. Let's just jump right into it, right? So here's what we're gonna cover for today. We got 5 topics. So fear of conflict or disapproval, why we constantly seek validation, and why it's so hard to kind of stop, right? Uh, Difficulty saying no, right? So how to deal with it, how to get past it, sort of some things that you can do to make it easier. Neglecting personal needs, and then all of the previous 4 lead to overcommitment and burnout, which obviously sucks. So we covered a little bit about that in the last video, but now we're going to go back into it, but a bit more in depth. So, fear of conflict or disapproval. I mean, this it is pretty self-explanatory, right? It comes from ultimately the survival aspect of it, right? We covered it in the last video. Now there is 2 layers to it, which is there's one side, which is gonna be the next slide, which is about seeking approval, right? And then there's this slide, which is about the fear of disapproval, right? So seeking approval is about getting rewarded for your behavior. Fear of disapproval is avoiding the pain of being disapproved, right? Because it's like, it sucks, right? It's not a good feeling. And so avoiding that pain is kind of is more important to us as humans. We're kind of biologically wired because of survival, right? We'd rather avoid, a life-threatening situation than get like the best fruit in the world that there is, right? So these are 2 different things which are very important to state. And so going to fear of disapproval, right? Where it comes from is, again, the fear of getting kicked out of the tribe, right? I want to nail this in your guys' heads. Like, it's about that. Everything, every fear, every rejection, when you feel like it's fucking terrible, it just comes from this. It just that fear of that you're not accepted, and that if you do something weird, you're gonna get kicked out, and then you're gonna die, which is just it's not fucking true, right? So that leads to the belief that, okay, in order to be approved, I have to be nice, right? Like that's how you avoid disapproval, is if you're nice, right? Well, that's just not true. Some people actually they hate you more if you're nice because I don't know, the various reasons, right? They're jealous of you, they think you're like too good to be true, whatever. Um, the point is, this is a myth. If you're nice to others, you will not always be approved and avoid disapproval. I'm not saying that you never do. No, there's a I think higher chance that if you're nice to people, that yeah, you will be more approved and you'll avoid disapproval because they're rewarding you being nice because they can benefit off it, right? Or if they're a nice person too, they just appreciate you for being nice. So it is not a bad thing. But it's the bad part is if you believe that every situation can be dealt with by being nice. Because some people believe, oh, okay, if I'm having a problem with this guy and I'm being nice to them, I have to be nicer, which is again terrible fucking mentality. Because eventually you're just gonna burn yourself out, and it's gonna suck. So we don't really want that. So when you start changing how you act for others, right? That leads to you hiding your flaws and then having a perfectionist mindset, right? So you constantly are wearing this like mask and you think you gotta be perfect, you gotta show yourself a certain way to others because if you don't, then they're gonna think you're fucking stupid. Bro, just who the fuck cares, bro? Just do what you wanna do, and if they don't like you, they can fuck right off, right? That's not your problem. People don't have to like you is my point. And hiding your flaws, like, dude, that's not, it's just so much pressure that you put on yourself for no reason, right? And then again, the perfectionist mindset, same thing. It's just like pressure, like so much where you just, I don't know, if you trip on a rock when you're walking, it's like instead of laughing at it, being like, okay, that's pretty funny, that was embarrassing, right? Like, it's funny, right? You're like, oh my god, the girl just saw me trip over a rock. She's probably never gonna love me again. It's like, bro, that's not like if she doesn't love you because you tripped over a fucking rock, then she's like, it's not worth it at that point, you know. So it's like minuscule shit like that. It just it doesn't matter, bro. No one even like cares about that. That's also I'll get into it in a future video, which is the spotlight theory, which you think everything is about you. Trust me, nobody cares. Everyone's too in their own head thinking about this shit that I'm talking about to worry about what just happened to you. But anyways, the main belief that all of these thoughts lead to, right, is that it's not acceptable to be just as you are. So what that means is that you have to change your actions and your self, and again wear that like mask, so that you can be accepted into society. So that's like the ultimate belief, and I'm sure you guys can understand why that's not a good thing, right? That's terrible. I mean, dude, it means like you can't make the jokes that you make because you're not funny, because society deemed you as not funny, right? It's like dude, that's not, no, no, it's not good. And we're gonna get into that because not being accepted just as you are leads you to believe that, okay, if that's not the case, then I need to be approved so that I feel that I'm acceptable, right? So then that's when again you wear the mask, and then that's when you start seeking validation. So that's how it starts. It comes from the feeling that you're not enough, and that you need others to tell you, hey, by the way, you're cool and you're perfect, whatever you want to hear. That you're gonna have to hear it from others, which again is not optimal, right? It's not really preferred because they're not gonna, you can't control what they do, right? Like if you go up to people and ask for compliments, you can't control if they're gonna insult the fuck out of you or if they're actually gonna give you a genuine compliment, right? Anyways, constantly seeking validation. Another factor to it is that getting approval when you don't have your own approval, it's actually addicting. It really addicting. It's a big one. Because if you think about it, every addiction comes from an emotion. It's not actually based off the substance or whatever. It's about the feelings. It's about the way it makes you feel, right? So when you smoke, you feel good, right? When you jack off, you feel good. I don't know, when you drink, you feel good, or you avoid feeling bad, right? That's why alcoholics. That's why that's a big part of their thing, which it does suck honestly, which is that it gets really addicting and it's very hard to stop because of the fact that they're avoiding pain, all their past trauma, everything. It's easier to just drink and run away from it. And I'm not gonna say that's actually really difficult. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, every addiction is pretty difficult to beat, and this one is very similar to all those, right? So why is it addicting? Because that's a really good way to beat any addictions, just by understanding how they work, right? Because they all have a very similar structure. So I'm gonna get into something interesting. This one, it's like again like substance use, all that. It's a bit different type of addiction because that's a completely feeling. But there's also the fact that addiction comes from when you're given a reward at random, not all the time, right? So if you go and you do like a backflip in front of your family, right? I don't know. They might think, oh shit, that's so like cool. Wow, you're sick. So they'll get approval for doing a backflip because they think it's cool. But then I don't know. You can go to like a parkour place, right, where they're like really good judges of backflips, and you do one, and then they're like, yeah, like you could have done better, bro. And then you just feel like this. So you did the same action, right? You just did a backflip, same form, same everything, different people. So some people will say, hey, good job. Some people will be like, hey, dude, you suck. You're not enough. Like, fuck off, right? Uh, so yeah, that's not good, obviously. But the point I'm trying to make here is because it's random, it's addicting. And there's actually a study done about this where there's two birds, right? They're in like a little cage thing, and they were able to pull a lever. Okay, when they pulled the lever, right, bird one always gets pellets of food, right? So it gets food. You pull the lever, you get food every single 100% of the time. Bird two, when they pull the lever, right, sometimes it gets the pellets of food. So lever one, you pull it, it gives pellets every single time. Lever two, it's like a slot machine, right? It's like maybe 10 out of 10 times it might give it, maybe out of 50, random, completely random. The study was concluded with the experiment that once these birds, they give it like an hour or so to just mess around with the pellets of food, to just eat it, right? And then they completely cut off the food supply. So then for lever one and lever two, they both 100% of the time provided no pellets of food. All right, so the lever became useless, completely useless. So bird number one, that with lever number one, um, pulled for food, like kept trying like for like a minute or two, and then it just gave up because it's okay. You know what? That like okay, it just doesn't work anymore. I'll just go back to sleep, right? It just ignored it. But the bird that was with level number 2, it kept pulling for food for way longer than the level 1 bird, right? And it's because of the fact that it's given a reward at random, it started believing at some point that even if I'm not getting rewarded, eventually I just might, right? So it just started gambling, basically. That's what the bird kept doing. It kept, putting bets on, like, I don't know, like Tony Ferguson to win his next fight. The point I'm trying to make here is, yeah, if it's constantly a negative behavior, right? It's constantly, you don't get rewarded, then sometimes you gotta stop, right? Sometimes, not all the time, but it's generally not good to do something that's like a maybe, right? I mean, there's risk reward, of course. It's good to do it, but in this case, right, like in terms of seeking validation, it's you can just avoid it. You can just not seek people's approval, and trust me, that makes your life 10 times easier because you get to do what you want, and you just need one person's approval, and that's yours. And once you have that, then literally you stop caring about what everyone else thinks, and you just do whatever you want to do, which is, again, it's a great feeling, and that's hopefully where I intend to get you guys after the end of this course. So approval comes from others, and that's why you can't control when or if they will give you that approval, right? So that's why it's not a good thing to search for validation, because it's you have to give yourself that approval, and that comes from you understanding what you value in others and then becoming that, and then you'll approve yourself. But again, it's easier said than done. Obviously, I'll get more into it as we progress. So we talked about the fear of conflict or disapproval, and then constantly seeking validation, right? So both of those lead to the difficulties of saying no, right? So it makes it harder to reject people because we feel that we're not worthy to reject others, because it's like, dude, they're asking me for a favor. They're this guy that's on a pedestal. Holy shit, I gotta say yes because, they're cool and I'm not, right? And another thing, this is interesting, right? But think about it. How do we come off if we reject someone that's asking us for a favor? So again, think about this is a fun example, but think about like a grandma, right? That's like asking you for help to cross the street because she's having trouble, right? I mean, that is like a sad situation. So, you know, yeah, if you're nice, right, you can help her. But imagine, let's just imagine for the sake that you have to say no. You want to say no, right? How do you come off if we say no? Well, in this case, yeah, like mean, lazy, rude, inconsiderate, selfish, right? So all negative traits, because if you reject someone that's asking you for a favor, there's a chance that you might come off as mean, rude, all that, right? And that's kind of a big part of it. So if you reject someone, there's a chance that they may not like you. So the grandma might be like, dude, you're a piece of shit, right? Like, wow, this guy's so mean. He can't even spare 10 seconds to help me cross the street, right? So that grandma may not like you. The people around you, there's a chance they might not like you because they associate your action with those traits from above, right? Mean, lazy, rude, all that. And there's also a chance that you get into conflict or trouble if you reject someone. So there's like layers upon layers of, like, if I say no, then again, what does it lead to? Getting kicked out of the tribe once again, right? And that's when the fight or flight activates. So when the fight or flight activates, obviously when that activates because your social status is put in danger, and that's where the difficulty in coming saying no comes from, right? It's from that fight or flight, those overwhelming feelings where, again, like, your boss might put a fucking stack of papers on your desk, like, hey, complete these by tomorrow, even though you know you're not supposed to. That's not your job, and you want to say no, but then, obviously they're a boss, so they're gonna, corporate, they're gonna use that sort of I don't want to say manipulation, but a bit of it, where, they're just gonna expect you to do it, and if you don't say anything, then they're just gonna hope you do it, right? And you're just gonna sit there and you want to say no, but you're like, oh wait, what if I come off as mean because I might come off as a lazy, but I'm a hard worker. Like, you associate yourself as a hard worker, so because of that, you have to prove to others that you're a hard worker by proving that you're not lazy. And how do you do that? You take on as much work as they give you, and that just keeps happening, right? Over and over and over, and it just fucking sucks. Okay? And when you are below everybody, that means they're way higher than you. right? And that's again putting them on a pedestal. And obviously, it's harder to say no to people that are on a pedestal because you're like, dude, I have to, I rejected that guy, right? Like, imagine like a, I don't know, like a 10 out of 10 comes and talks to you and approaches you, you'd feel like, oh my god, I can't reject her because she's so pretty, right? Like, oh my god, it's like, no, dude, they're just human. There's no, you know, in terms of if anyone's asking you for anything, you can always say no if that's not what you want to do. It's completely your choice. So then, with the difficulty of saying no comes the neglecting of your personal needs, right? Because if you constantly do what others want of you, then you have literally no time to do anything for yourself, which obviously is pretty damn important. If you can't take care of yourself, your mind, your health, your anything, you will not be able to accomplish the full potential of what you have. Right? If you want to be the best wrestler in the world, the best chess player, you have to have as much time to yourself as possible so that you can beat the other people that are putting that same amount of effort. And that just applies to everything, right? Time is important. It's really important. So when it comes to personal needs, right? This comes from again a definition of your place in society, right? Of your value. So what is the difference between you and Elon Musk? Just think about it, right? Because if you think societally, I'm sure I can guarantee, like basically everyone who's watching my video, he's probably richer than you. He has more fame and is responsible for more major corporations, right? So that's socially speaking, technically yes, he has more value than us because he has these socially accepted traits, right? So everyone thinks, oh, if you're rich, you must be good, or I mean that's not true. But they think if you're rich, you must be successful, and if you're famous, you must be happy, and all that sort of jazz, right? But if you think about it intrinsically, right, and that's a really important word to note, intrinsically, which means that when you're born, right, the inner value that you have, just as a human being, just as a fucking human, there's no difference between you and Elon Musk. You guys are just both fucking humans. Yes, he might be smart, but that doesn't matter, right? You have a place in society as well. If you're waiting at the fucking food line and Elon Musk tries to cut you, right? You still have enough value as a human to completely tell him, hey, bro, like what the fuck? Like, come on, we're on equal grounds, bro. You're not better than me because you're Elon Musk. He's just Elon Musk. That's all he is. This sounds like I'm talking shit about Elon Musk. No offense to Elon Musk. I just think it's a good example because everyone knows about him. But you get my point, right? And that's really, really important, right? You are literally the most important person in your own world. If you are not like taking care of yourself again, then who the fuck is gonna take care of you? Most people don't go out of their way to help others constantly, right? And you definitely shouldn't as well, because a person should definitely be able to take care of himself. Because if they build dependency and that person's gone, guess what? They're fucked. So, because you're the most important person in your world, again, if you die, everyone like you care about, like you're not gonna even, you can't do anything with that, right? You have to take care of yourself before anybody. I want that to be a really important like value point for you guys, which is that you are the most important person in your world. And by believing that, you can actually help others more, right? If you help yourself first, then you can help others even more. If you're broke, how can you help other broke people? You can't, right? You can like give a homeless person like $5 every now and then, right? But guess what? That's not gonna help them long term. It's just not. But if you become rich, then you can help a lot of broke people and a lot more too, and a lot more scale, and a lot more quality, volume, and that's you gotta first succeed before you can help others, right? If you want to be a dating coach, first you gotta help yourself, get into it, get a lot like really good, have a lot of success there, and then you can make a dating course, right? And you prove that. And that comes from an example that we've always heard of, which is if you want to save a friend out of quicksand, right? You don't just jump into the quicksand and just try and pull them out. That's just not how it works. You need to get solid footing first, right? Because like you need stable, solid ground. You gotta put yourself in a good position to help your friend. Otherwise, you guys are, if you jump in, then it's just gonna be both of you stuck in quicksand, and then some other guys are gonna have to, you're gonna have to hope that they can come in and help you. And I mean, yeah, like you can always get lucky, right, in life, but I would say just not to count on it. Just make it happen. with your own like hard work. God, I sound so red pill. Okay, overcommitment and burnout, right? So everything we just covered leads to overcommitment and burnout, right? Or well, at least the burnout, and usually overcommitment causes the burnout, right? So living in constant fear of conflict or disapproval, constantly seeking approval or validation, not being able to say no means you're neglecting your personal needs, right? Which all of that leads to burnout. So we already covered again the first one why it's not like too good of a thing, right? So the reason why we end up thinking that we have to do something, why I get burnt out, is because we believe that we should do something, right? It's like I don't know, I should help this person because if I don't, I'm a piece of shit. I'm a terrible person, right? But it's like it's your choice if you want to do something, right? If you want to be nice to someone, if you want to help somebody, then you can do it, right? It's totally your choice, and no one's gonna like hate you for that. But the truth is, it at the end of the day, it's a choice. It's not a mandatory thing, like it's your life. You can choose to help others, you can choose not to, but that decision making is the important part, right? Now, what I'm also going to include here is there was actually a book, The Disease to Please, really good book on people pleasing, and it states the seven deadly shoulds, right? And I'm just gonna read like three of them because just so you guys have an idea of what they like kind of look like, right? So, like, for example, one, other people should appreciate and love me because of all the things I do for them, right? Two, other people should always like and approve of me because of how hard I work to please them. Three, other people should never reject or criticize me because I always try to live up to their desires and expectations. Now, just reading it, you guys can, I'm sure, tell how kind of biased that sounds, right? It's like should in every single situation it has to happen like that, which is it's not true. It's not 100% guaranteed that if you're nice to someone that they don't punch you in the face. They could, right? They could just be a mean person, and at that point, nothing you do is going to really help you, and definitely not being nice, right? In some situations, so it's more like this. People use being nice as a default answer to everything, but it's not. It's just one of many options. Sometimes you got to be mean. And actually, you can do more. You can maybe even help your friends more sometimes by being honest and blunt and a little bit mean, right? Sometimes people need to hear stuff, and you can't be nice all the time if you really want to help people, especially. So it's like it's kind of funny, but if you actually want to help people, you have to stop being so nice, right? That's a big part of it. Now, overcommitment, right? This is a big one because I was just saying how really, right? Like if you want to really help people, you should definitely like find more ways to do that. Because I'm not. This whole course is not about don't help people. It's just be very picky about who you help, right? Because overcommitment is just that. When you, I don't know, meet a girl on the street, you just talk to her and then you just fall in love with her and you get so attached so quick. You do so much for her, she won't even appreciate it because like you just met her. Like you don't know her, right? You don't know if can she appreciate it. Like is she the type of person that will, you know, be able to accept it? Maybe like you can grow into something that's like worth it, right? Because you have to have that trust, and that's why overcommitment can be dangerous. Because if you overcommit with too many people, then people that you're not even close to, that you don't really even care about that much, right? Like let's say your coworkers, it's very common that people pleasers get too attached to their or overly attached to their coworkers. I don't know, like people at like a group that they go to, like a sports group or whatnot. It's not bad to be attached to people at all, but just be picky, right? Make sure you get to know them a bit, and then then you choose. Okay, this person is cool, and you know what? Because of A, B, C, I like this person. He's cool. I'm willing to put in some time and effort and like help them out, right? I want to be nice to this person because they're nice to me. Whatever your reason, but there should always be like a reason that you have, right? You don't have to be nice to everybody for no reason. Just so like if they earn it, then you can do it. Now, the reason why overcommitment is so dangerous and burnout too, both of them combined, is overcommitment makes it harder for you to say no and to again like to have more time for yourself. So it constrains your time and your freedom. And then burnout also exhausts you so much that when you are finally alone, you don't even have the energy to help yourself, right? You literally you're just burnt out. You just need to rest, right? So you're either helping people or you're resting so that you can help other people, right? You've no time for yourself. And the most important resource on this planet, right, is literally time. Like more than money, more than anything, it's time, dude. We all have 24 hours in a day, right? No matter who you are, you, Elon Musk, we all have 24 hours, and there's nothing we can do to get more, right? You can't change time. And that's like important. So like because it's so important that you only have a certain amount of time, I I would figure that you have to be very careful where you spend it with too, right? If you want to hang out with your friends, absolutely go and do it, right? If you want to have fun that day, go and do it. No problem whatsoever. But if you don't and you're just like, okay, but like shit, I don't know, like why not, right? They're asking me, I can't say no because otherwise I might be mean. Fuck that. Your time is important. If you want to read a book, read a book. You do what you want to do. And if again, hanging out with your friends is one of those things, then great, do it. But it's always about what you value. It's not about what other people value because literally you are the most important person in your world, and your time is something that only you can keep track of and be responsible for. Other people will always try and come in and like steal your time, right? They'll always do their best to do that. And it's in your power, right, to say no and to tell them, hey, you know what? No, I'm busy. I got this to do. I got that to do. And it's funny, but a lot of people pleasers when it comes to like I don't know if you have a job or something, right? Like imagine this. Imagine you're working like 9 to 5, right? And your friend's like, hey, can we hang out today at like 4? And you're obviously at work. You're like, no, dude, I have work at 4. Like I can't go, right? And so it's so easy to reject them because you have an actual reason, right? Like there's an actual reason. But let's say I don't know, maybe you're exhausted and you kind of just want to go home and play like I don't know Overwatch or something. Like I don't know what game, maybe like Fortnite or something. Then at that point, your friend might be wanting to hang out, but then I don't know, they're doing like a baseball, right? Like I mean, if you like baseball, great. But imagine you don't like baseball, right? And you're just like, or a sport that you don't like. They invite you for, and you're like, okay, I'd just rather stay home and play Fortnite, which sounds lame on paper, right? Sounds lame, but dude, if that's what you want, then it should be the same as like if you had a job, It'd be like, no, I just can't. I'm busy today, right? Like it's like I put myself time that I want to spend here, right? And that should be the same for resting too and meditation, right? Just relaxing your brain. We don't do that at all, man. Like we literally are just on our phones, me included, by the way. I'm still working on that shit. It's tough, honestly. Doom scrolling like randomly, right? I get a notification. I somehow find myself. I'm like walking or like waiting in line. I somehow look down and I'm on my phone on like the fifth reel this morning. I'm like, how did I even get here? I don't even know, right? And that's where the awareness comes from because when I started being more aware, then now I'm able to catch myself and I'm able to stop myself earlier and earlier. And it's honestly, it is great. I'm not gonna lie. When you get more used to it, things take time, right? It's all about habits, and yeah, we basically covered everything this course. So once again, um, just to kind of recap, right? Living in fear of conflict or disapproval, constantly seeking validation, difficulty saying no, neglecting personal needs, and overcommitment and burnout, right? These are all the sort of things that happen. All of the 4 previous ones lead to this, which is overcommitment and burnout, and that leaves you unable to leave time for yourself. And ultimately, that's the most important person in your world, right? You got to take care of yourself. So yeah, that's it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next course video, and I'm recording this a few days after New Year's, so I guess have a happy belated New Year's.